Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the brand new class Ren and whether or not it is worth maining in the current version of MapleStory. Now we are going to be discussing a few topics throughout this video. We're going to be discussing the damage, the movement, the survivability, the support, the class difficulty, and the class playstyle, because I think that these are the main factors which make a class either good or bad. So without further ado, let's get right into the video on whether or not you should main the brand new class. Now, the first thing that we're going to be talking about, and one of the more important reasons why people main a certain class, is going to be the damage. Now, we don't have current numbers out for Ren like we do for all the other classes, because the class is so new in MapleStory, and of course in GMS we do have attack speed, and Ren is a hurricane class, so it is actually not affected by the attack speed. So that is one negative for the class. If I were to guess, I would say that this is probably a middle of the pack class, and it probably will always stay in the middle of the pack in GMS. When you play a hurricane class in GMS, you're always going to have that disadvantage in terms of damage, because you're not going to be able to abuse the attack speed that GMS has to offer like other classes. For example, Hero, Night Lord, Nightwalker, these are all classes that are able to abuse attack speed in GMS, and because you are going to be a hurricane class, you're not going to get that damage bonus playing in this server. Nonetheless, this class definitely feels very good. I would probably put it somewhere around where Bowmaster is in terms of the overall damage output on like a full rotation, but don't take my word for it. This is just me guesstimating where this class would rank in a DPM chart. I would say it ranks anywhere from 40 to 30 on a damage scale in GMS. So if you're looking for a class that is going to be super overpowered, Ren is not going to be the class that you potentially want to main, because the damage is not extremely overpowered. But nonetheless, that should not sway you from maining this class. Damage is something that I always try to tell people: don't always chase the damage. Balance patches always happen, and damage is never consistent in MapleStory. It's one of the always changing factors in classes. So if you heard that Ren isn't the most overpowered class, don't let that push you away from maining that class. So now that we've kind of gone over the damage, let's go over the movement in Ren and why it makes this class so fun to play. If you're looking for a class that has really good movement, I would absolutely recommend playing Ren, because this class has very good movement. It has a ton of versatility when going into bosses. It has a front dash, it has a back dash, and these dashes also work as teleports, so they're very good to maneuver yourself through certain situations when bossing. It also has something almost like a double flash jump. It has something exactly like Bowmaster's air stall, but instead of Bowmaster's air stall, you can actually move in different directions while using this backdash. So for example, when you flash jump, you can stop your direction by using the second flash jump. If you want to go further, you can use it to push yourself even further. But then it also has another mechanic where you can hold the second flash jump, and it makes it really good. So you can kind of jump, and then you can air stall in certain directions, which makes this class really good and super fun to play. And since it is a hurricane class, it's very easy to stop your attack and move, duck, get out of the way when in certain bossing. The TP is also very snappy as well, so it makes it super easy to keep up damage uptime when you're in bosses. So if you want a class that has really fluent movement, I would absolutely recommend playing Ren. Now I will say the TP is a bit something to get used to, because it does swap the directions in which you're going when using it. So for example, you can use it and it might put you backwards, and then if you use it again, it'll put you forward, and it'll swap from forward to back every single time you use it. So the way that I would help yourself get used to that is I would actually put it on your hotkey to where you can see it, to where you can see which color it's actually on. Purple is going to be for back, and red is going to be for forward. And it's something that's very easy to get used to. So if it's something that you might get confused by early on, don't worry about it. If you play it a bunch, you will absolutely get used to it, and it will not be anything that will deter you from moving well in bossing. And then the one thing as well with the double flash jump, it has 0 cooldown if you tap it, but if you do hold it down, it will actually give a 5-second cooldown from the hold down. But nonetheless, the skill is very good and super fun to use when bossing. So if I were to rate the movement, I would probably give it around a 7 or 8 out of 10. The class has a ton of versatility and really fun to play. So if you're looking for a class with good movement, I would absolutely say that Ren is one of those classes that has great satisfying movement. Now that we've talked about the damage and the movement, let's move on to survivability, because this is definitely a factor for a ton of people. Now, this is a lifesteal class. Ren does have a lifesteal, but it's definitely not going to over heal you from a lot of boss damage. It will definitely help you in some situations, but by no means is it overpowered. I think it's a very balanced lifesteal class. While you're bursting though, however, you pretty much are unkillable. The lifesteal is very good when you're bursting, because it is actually proc by multiple skills when you are using your burst. The lifesteal is going to work on your main attack, and the lifesteal is also going to work on your short cooldown skill, Burrowing Earth. And then while you're bursting, it is also going to work for Dancing Annihilation as well. So the class has very good survivability overall. Now, last but definitely not least, this class does have a self iframe as well. It's going to be a 70-second cooldown, and this iframe is going to last for 3 seconds. So it's a pretty good iframe to get yourself out of certain situations. I definitely wouldn't call it OP by any means, because it is a pretty long cooldown iframe. And since it is a 3-second iframe, it does allow you to reposition and remaneuver yourself in boss fights. So overall, for survivability, I would probably give this class anywhere from a 5 to a 7 out of 10. It's by no means overpowered. It's very balanced survivability, but because the survivability is so good during burst, and burst is such a important factor in your damage, I would definitely say it gets a little bit more points for its survivability. And then moving on to support, sadly this class has 0 support and does not offer anything to the party. So if you are looking for a support class, I would absolutely not recommend Ren to you. It doesn't offer anything for anyone in the party, so don't worry about that. And then the class difficulty. So Ren is a very simple class to play. I would actually say this is one of the easiest classes in the game. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, well, there's Bowmaster out there, and Bowmaster is a super easy class to play. All you do is hold one button, and that's all you do, and there's no minis and blah. And as that is true, Ren has more skills to use to get yourselves out of certain situations. For example, Bowmaster, all it has is Hurricane, and that's pretty much all it can do, and it can't get yourselves out of certain situations. And yes, Bowmaster does have its dummies and its lifesteal, but in certain boss fights, like gauge mechanic boss fights, you're not able to move and get out of certain situations quick enough to actually not screw up a gauge. Whereas Ren, for example, has its backdash, its front dash, its double flash jump, its iframe, and a ton of good ways to actually get yourself out of certain situations. And for that reason, I would definitely say that the class difficulty is very easy. I would probably say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 1 in terms of difficulty. It's very easy to learn. So if you're looking for an easier class to play that does have a good burst, I would absolutely recommend Ren to you. This class is extremely fun but easy to play, with a lot of cool little micromanagement mechanics within the class. And then moving on to the last but not least, and probably most important discussion of this entire class, is going to be the playstyle. So I've talked about it a little bit throughout this entire video, but the playstyle of this class is extremely burst oriented. I would say it's even a higher split than classes like Nightlord and Hero. This class's burst is extremely strong, and it probably has one of the highest splits in the entire game, which in my opinion makes it such an easy class to play, because classes where all you need to worry about is getting off your damage makes a lot of the fight less important. And this class is a very easy burst to actually get off. All you pretty much do is pop your sequence and then hold down Dancing Annihilation and Burrowing Earth, and that's pretty much all your burst is. Now, I know what you're thinking, well, that's a key down skill, and that's probably going to get you into a lot of bad situations, but while you're bursting, you're actually invulnerable to abnormal status. So, for example, in Saren's lasers and pillars are not going to blind you while you're bursting, and because you have impenetrable skin, you're not going to be able to get kicked out of Roar when you are bursting. So for that reason, it makes getting the burst off super easy. It does have a few skills that are off of cooldown, but they aren't a ton of damage. You obviously have your ball and then your black burrowing earth skills, which you're going to be using off of cooldown. But other than that, there's nothing else to this class besides those skills. Classes like Zero are extremely important to make sure that you're keeping DPM up the entire time, and their whole full rotation is very balanced, whereas Ren's, it's just the burst, making sure that you get off that damage, and after that it's not as important throughout the entire boss fight. So if you're looking for a class that is easy to play, has snappy movement, has pretty good survivability, and is super heavy focused on burst only, I would absolutely 100% recommend Ren to you. I think it's one of the better classes actually introduced into MapleStory for a long time, and it's not just because the class is weak or strong, it's because of how fluent the class is to play and how many different options you have while playing this class. You have your iframes, you have your dashes, you have your multi-directional movement, and you have that versatility when you're in bossing to do certain things that other classes wouldn't be able to. And you're able to do a lot of these things without thinking too much about how to do them. And again, at the end of the day, the class that you decide to play is always going to come down to the factor of if you enjoy playing the class. So no matter what I've said throughout this entire video, if you enjoy playing Ren, continue to main the class, whether it's strong, weak, or middle of the pack. That never will matter. Always play a class if you enjoy playing the class, and that should always be the number one determining factor whether you main or drop a class. But that is going to go over everything that I have to say about Ren and whether or not you should main this class. If this video did help you guys out or potentially help make your decision, please leave a like on the video. It helps us know that you guys are enjoying the content. But with that being said, guys, that is going to wrap up the video for today. And until next time, I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.